am your host, Mediocre Tutorials and Reviews, back in here with yet one more video, joined today by a very special returning guest, Lynn.
What up, YouTube?
What up, Lynn?
What's going down?
It's been a little while. You're a Canadian sweetheart, okay? That's what you are, and I want you to never forget it.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna get into the video. This one has blown up over the last day or so. It's called I'm an Incel, Ask Me Anything, a video done by Jubilee. They usually do these like extravagant topics. Now I saw about 42% of this video, and I thought it was super interesting. Lynn, have you seen this video yet?
I mean, I watched a bit of it.
All right, well, let's do a reaction to it. Anything to say or any questions to ask before we get started?
No, I think this will be interesting.
Super interesting. Without further ado, let's just get right in it.
If you could summarize your opinion towards women?
Like what I think of them?
Yes.
I do think they are very important, but... Okay, hey, I'm Brendio. I also go by Derek. I'm an incel, and I'm here to answer people's questions about the topic.
I can start. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good.
So you're an incel?
Yes.
Why would you ever sign up to do this?
I suppose I would want to give more of a positive light on this community, which is a very negative light upon it.
Okay, and do you think that's a good thing?
Yes.
Why is that?
Because a lot of the boys in this community aren't bad people.
But you acknowledge that a good handful of them are, right?
Not a good handful, I would say a small handful.
Who?
You know what's funny about that, just real quick, is that the dude who came in there that wasn't the incel was kind of being a douche about it.
Yeah, he was asking very leading questions and wasn't really there to learn.
Yeah, he had more of a feelings-based reaction to talking to someone that he had a preconceived notion about, is what that looked like.
If a woman was elected as president of the United States, how would you react?
I don't know. It probably would depend on the woman. I probably wouldn't be supportive of it, honestly. But
Why do you say that, if you don't mind me asking?
I do think that men should be the leaders and women should be the caregivers and the loving, supporting, and the teachers. In some cases.
Since women of color or just women in general have been oppressed by certain systems and other oppressed communities, especially the LGBTQ+, all those don't really fit with the spectrum that incels or you have been talking about. So why do you think your method of thought would help fix what we have today?
I probably wouldn't view the things that you might view as oppression as oppression. I have a feeling. I would view it more as how we treat children that we love. We control them, but we control them lovingly, not as a slave, not as we're forcing them to do things against their will. I would view it more as a loving domestic thing in the past. And I would say that if we were to do it in a civilized way, maybe in a more, even a Christian way, even though I'm not really advocating for a certain religion or ideology, I would assume that women would probably be happier. And I wouldn't just assume that blindly, I would assume that based on the data that I have seen.
What data have you seen that has brought you to this conclusion? Because I'm now curious where I can get this data from.
I couldn't reference it offhand, but I believe there was a study that I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Okay.
So real quick, that was an interesting part of the video. So what he was saying is that that he thinks women would be more happy being more of the nurturers in life as opposed to leaders. And then he said that there was data to support it, but he didn't have data. Any reaction off of that?
I felt like I was missing a little bit of context. Like they just kind of jumped right into that where I didn't really have much context where her question was coming from. So that's number one. Number two, his response about women being happier as nurturers rather than leaders. I don't think he's necessarily wrong for some women, but I don't think he's necessarily right either, because he's assuming that nurturing and leading are not the they're mutually exclusive, which they're not necessarily, right? Some of the best leaders are nurturers. They nurture their teams to grow. They nurture a nation, right? They aren't necessarily just trailblazers. They bring everybody along with them.
You know, I think there's a so when we say nurturing, maybe we need to define that too, because I think like there's a great degree of leaders that have natural born empathy, can empathize in a situation, meaning that they understand emotions and then know how to make certain moves in life and understanding how someone might feel about it. But the leaders that I've seen typically have a high value of that, but they may not have a high value on nurturing, at least in my definition of it.
Right.
Any thoughts to that? Right, like if you were to think of like leaders that have strong nurturing components, are they just like personal in your life or public figures?
Leaders I've worked for.
Okay.
So like C-suite leaders who want to see you grow, frankly, because they also want you to be better at what you do. Therefore, you know, you end up being more productive as a worker. You end up going far in your career. It only makes them look and feel good. And so there's that element to it too. I guess the other question is, what does nurturing mean to you? Because I think what he was saying, like now that I'm thinking about it more, what he was saying as nurturing might mean something different. Because like in my head, nurturing is nurturing qualities, wanting others to grow, or making like kind of rearing children, or like growing a plant, or getting somebody who works for you to grow professionally. Those are nurturing qualities. I think he might be thinking of like
staying at home.
Yeah. But I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, and you know, and I don't disagree with you either. There's components of leaders that will look back at the younger generation and try to help bring them forward. I've had leaders in my life that have saw the way that I move and said, you know, let's schedule a meeting, let's get a mentorship session. Men too. And I wouldn't necessarily say define that as nurturing though, but I understand what you're saying. So I just want to say that. Also too, so there is significantly more women, this is my argument, when I hear him say that. There's significantly more women that partake in more nurturing jobs than men do, right? Like think about nursing, think about teaching. And I think that there's a biological component to that. I think that there's something kind of deep within our biology which attracts more men to STEM, right? Attracts more men to more dangerous jobs than women do. So there can be an argument made that perhaps, and it's not all women, but more often than not, they would prefer much more nurturing jobs than typically what men do.
I think it is about liberal areas that create behavior in women that you think is a problem.
Promiscuity leads to increased standards in more primitive aspects such as looks, and that typically makes it harder for some people to find a relationship, including sometimes good-looking people. There's guys who are much better looking than I am who are having a really hard time finding someone in a place like LA or in London or in Auckland, New Zealand, but they probably would have a perfectly fine time finding a woman somewhere else.
So you think that promiscuity is the problem, and if people were more monogamous and more withholding, that would sort of fix society?
Yeah, I suppose if people were more traditionalist.
Whoa. I don't necessarily agree with the promiscuity thing. I do think that there's standards that are put out there in magazines, social media, which kind of skews reality, both on the men and the women's side. Regardless of promiscuity, I mean that's a whole nother argument. But I think the images that we see makes us devalue normal.
Yes, because then you end up getting this like skewed view of reality. Right? We see that in like the skewed view of what a person's body should look like, how a man should look like, how he should groom, how he should dress. how big his biceps should be. And at the same time, we also think that, yes, like in order to be an attractive woman, you must have like a really big booty and like your waist must be snatched. It's not natural. You know, it gives you all these images. And also I think for young girls, and I would say argue probably for young boys too, these become images that they grow up thinking like, oh, I need to look like this. And it becomes another problem when you have an intersectional identity, right? Like I grew up seeing white girls in the media, and black girls in the media, and nobody who looked like me other than Lucy Liu,
who's a baddie, by the way.
She's a badass, but at the same time, like she was my only example. Every movie or every TV show I watched, the pretty girl was always not somebody who looked like me.
Interesting. Yeah, Asian men go through that as well.
Absolutely.
There's not really good examples of. That's an interesting. Component.
You have to look to Asia to see those, like like Asia celebrities, not like there are not that many Asian American or Westernized Asian celebrities.
Why is that?
Oh, that's a whole other topic. There's also, I think Asian American or Westernized Asian men go through, have this thing in society they have to deal with where when they all first came to North America, they were forced into certain occupations, specifically things like laundry cleaning and all that kind of things that were traditionally viewed as nurturing, which I think comes full circle back to the last topic. And that's, I think, partially why today we see those effects in the media where people are like, oh yeah, Asian men, not very sexy. If you don't think Asian men are sexy, I challenge you to go Google it. There are very many very sexy Asian men.
Women don't watch this. Sorry.
Right, I'm sorry. Right, I forgot. Other than the other hosts.
One of the common criticisms about the incel community is that you feel entitled to sex or intimacy. Do you believe that you deserve sex or intimacy from a woman?
I think everybody at some level deserves someone that loves them and, you know, respects them, as long as you are also loving and respectful towards that person. You know, they're an equal. You know, you're not like seeking someone beyond yourself. You know, you don't have like too high standards, I suppose. You know.
Ooh. That was a good question, and I am surprised at the response. Now, watch. He asked him very specifically, do you feel like you are entitled to sex? He didn't answer with sex.
No, he didn't.
He answered with, well, I feel like everyone is entitled to be loved and deserve somebody to blah, 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 or what have you.
He sounds kind of lonely.
That's a very pathetic answer.
What?
Well, I guess to be an incel, you have to be a degree of pathetic, right? Like, there's not cool people. Like, the cool dude in high school is not an incel today.
Maybe not. I don't know.
Probably. Most likely. 99%. Okay. Most likely.
Okay.
Right, so, like, you got to think about, okay, how about this? How about we do what I was talking about earlier in the video, and I was have a degree of empathy.
Okay.
If I was to sit in this man's shoes,
right,
and every attempt that I made to get what he calls love and respect was thwarted.
Right. That's kind of discouraging, isn't it?
That's super discouraging, right? I might then bucket myself into a clique or a club of men who, you know, experience the exact same things. We'll form like an online party.
Right.
And just get to our corner of the internet and just complain about it. I think it's sad.
It is sad.
It's sad. However, I think like, so do you think if he would ever experience love and respect that he would not be an incel?
Well, yeah, because then it wouldn't be involuntary.
Well, but you know what I mean. So like, he's an incel, he's an involuntary celibate, but there's still a degree of like, you've put yourself there.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Like, he's not cutting his hair. I mean, his hair's everywhere. I mean, he's just wearing like a hoodie. Like,
right. He doesn't look like he's trying.
Right. Like. I mean, there's ways that he has to go in order to make himself attractive. I don't think necessarily anyone should be feel entitled to sex or to love or to respect. I think what's interesting is that he's being very respectful.
He is.
So I think you should expect respect back, but to just think that because you're human, because you exist,
that you're entitled
to these things. Like, I don't think that is true. I mean, everyone starts at different difficulty levels.
Yeah, that's
you know
true.
What I mean?
Like,
some people are more attractive than others.
You're just like born more attractive, or you're born with the resources to make yourself more attractive. Whatever attractive means.
Yeah, you mean like plastic surgery?
That, or you might have resources to have access to better food, for example.
That's true.
Right? Like, or you have resources to have access to drinkable water, so then you're not like breaking out and.
That's right.
Right,
Or,
like you're
or clean sheets, so then you're not waking up with acne or.
Exactly. Exactly. So. Little things that we don't think about.
Yeah, but yeah.
Right, okay, so if the definition of incel is involuntarily celibate, like I was probably an incel for a long time.
Women can never be incels.
I don't know, I just kept getting rejected.
Well, here's the thing. Let's talk about it, because I feel like an incel, they may not want the ones that they want.
Right.
I mean, or they may not be able to get the ones that they want.
Right.
But then the real question is, would anybody want them?
Yeah.
I think you are not able to get the ones that you want.
Right.
But you can find some if you really wanted it.
Yes. I think I realized that later in life.
Do you think he could find some if he really wanted it without paying for it?
Maybe.
Don't you maybe me?
Maybe.
Don't you it depends me?
Maybe. I think there's a gamer girl out there somewhere.
I'll give him some. Well, I think like here's the thing.
Okay.
I feel way more sorry for people like this if it wasn't 50% women and 50% men on this planet.
Okay.
Women are not a scarce resource.
Depending on which country you live in.
It's all pretty much 50-50.
Not in China.
Well, that's some extenuating circumstances of murdering babies. That's a different situation.
Yes, very sad situation.
Yes. You want to keep going?
Yes.
All right, let's go.
You don't want to be an incel?
No.
Why not?
Well, I mean, it's part of the whole involuntarily thing. I mean, you want to try and escape it. You want to be something better. You want to get a wife, get a girlfriend, get someone who loves you, spend your life with them, and be happy. And
what's one thing you wish people understood better about you?
I don't know. I guess I wish people would recognize how much effort I'm trying, I suppose. Like, I'm working out typically daily. I've lost over 100 pounds. I'm out there job hunting actively. I don't think people recognize how much effort the incels in general try to put into bettering themselves. I would say, people don't recognize their effort. They just assume that they're all like lazy and sad and angry at women and just giving up and things of that nature, I suppose.
All right.
I feel like we should talk about this for a second. So he is trying. He's just in a stage of his try that probably hasn't quite gotten to the butterfly part yet.
Well, he's in a cocoon.
Yeah, he's still in his cocoon.
There's nothing wrong with being in a cocoon.
I feel like he needs to go on that show, that Netflix show, Queer Eye, where they like make you over. You just need somebody to show him how to like get a haircut.
He needs a lot more than that.
I mean, a little more, but
he needs dating coaches. He needs.
But also, it sounds like he's just a lonely person.
Yeah, but I think. I get it. It sounds like he's lonely.
Yeah, I've been there.
But I feel like there's so many other steps that you have to take. Like, I feel like one of the key tenets of a confident dude who is respected by women is being able to sit in your loneliness and to be confident when you're lonely. right? Like I think like what he's done in his loneliness is begun to harbor a ridiculous sentiment towards reality or ridiculous sentiment towards women. So it's I mean, I get what he's saying, and so now re-looking at this video, I think what Jubilee is trying to do is to recenter how to feel about these types of people,
Right.
And to say that it's less kind of what we see in the media about them, and it's more they
Right.
want to get out their situation.
There's a lot of sensationalization in the media and all that. I want to touch on the loneliness thing you talked about just now. In the confidence in being lonely.
Yeah.
Is it being lonely or is it confidence in being alone? Because those are two different feelings, no? 'Cause, like,
Yeah, those are two different feelings. That's a good call out. I think I meant confidence in being alone. But I think that there's components of being a leader where you have to sit well within loneliness. It's lonely at the top.
It is lonely at the top.
It's lonely to be, and you're gonna, and to be a real and true and confident leader, you have to sometimes make decisions that will make you lonely, where you were where you were the enemy. But it's the choice of doing what's right versus pleasing everybody else. So I've struggled with that throughout my career, because being like an extrovert, and I'm a self-identified extrovert. You want everyone around you to be having a good time and to be happy and this, that, and the third. But I think to move within that and to know that I need to make this decision regardless of how it will place me in a social structure or social hierarchy.
Right.
It's just what you have to do. And I think what we're seeing here is people who have become defeated, and it has shaped their ideologies so much that it's pushing them further away from the thing that they're trying to get: vagina.
Well, in this guy's...
Smooth meat hole.
Well, he's mentioning that he wants love. He's looking for more than just sex, it sounds like. Now, it all comes down to that, but like the vernacular he's using has to do with social connection and love and being accepted for who he is and all that kind of stuff. Right? He's using words like girlfriend, wife, family. Just go talk to somebody who's lonely. You don't have to date them. Like, it sounds like he's looking more for social connection.
He needs to shut up.
Or am I just naive?
Let me tell you why. Because he's doing it the wrong way. You focus on yourself first. I mean, he says that he's doing all these things. He said he lost 100 pounds. Why are you 100 pounds overweight? Why are you 200 pounds overweight? He's doing all these things. He said, now I'm looking for a job. Why don't you have a job now? Like, so I think, like, I'm trying to be as empathetic as what I possibly can be. But there's steps that were taken in order for him to get in those relative positions. You know what I mean? Like there's things that were happening before he got on this show.
Okay. I think we need to hear more about his story.
But he's focusing. To me, you don't get love and admiration and this by talking about that you want it.
Right.
For me, is like
you got it by doing it.
You have to do it. You have to be about it. You shouldn't feel entitled to something. Listen, this is a cold world.
It is.
Ain't no one gonna feel sorry for you. You know what I mean? Women are not gonna feel sorry for you that you're at home living with your parents as a grown man.
I think it'd be interesting to learn more about his story. Like, I've been in those shoes where I'm overweight, I lost my job, I got laid off, got restructured. You go from like 6 figures and like the 38th floor of your own condo to living in your parents' basement.
Here's the difference is that I would argue that as a woman, you are less expected to be a provider.
Yes.
I mean, I'm saying I'm arguing this, but I know this to be true. But you can have a different opinion. We can talk about it. But I would think that in the dating game, that is less.
It's way more acceptable.
It's way more acceptable, as opposed to if those same things happen to a dude. Which is why, like, one of the things that I say is that, to know that a guy has found a good woman, a component of that is that she will stick with him through thin and through the thick, right? Like,
because everybody falls.
Everyone stumbles.
Everybody falls at some point. Like in their own way. It may not be the same way as what I would define as falling or what you would define as falling, but everybody falls.
Yeah,
And
from time to time.
Yeah. Hopefully not all the time, but
Yeah. All right, there's like a couple more seconds left. Let's see.
Okay.
You don't have to see the bad things in the world and then come out a bad person. You can just see the bad things in the world and then improve upon yourself because of them, I suppose.
So you do have hope.
Yeah, I have hope, yeah. I'm a very hopeful person, I suppose.
I won't lie, this went a lot differently than I thought it would. I thought we'd be yelling at each other, you know?
It was nice to meet you.
It was nice to meet you too.
Thank you so much. Hello, thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it.
Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Comment as well. I already said that. Cut that part out.
No, we'll keep it. Thanks for watching.
All right, any final thoughts? Now that you understand what an incel is, you have sympathy for the young man?
Yeah.
Does it sway your views?
a little bit. I think when he started talking about like the desire for social connection, when he was like, I'm just really like a lonely person, like I felt that it hit different.
It still won't get him what he wants.
It won't, but I think the whole point of the video is really to make us as the audience think a little different and perceive the group of people a little different, because the media does sensationalize and antagonize incels.
They do. So I think it's done a good job of switching kind of how you, what the stereotype of an incel is. However, I'd still argue, although you might have felt for him when he said that.
Yeah.
It won't get you ready for him. It won't. He's got some work to do.
Right.
He's got some work
As
to
we
do.
all do, but yes, he's got some work to do. And he's still on his journey. He's maybe like halfway there. We don't know what his starting point was.
We'll see. You never know. Him being on this viral video might have got him the look he needs. All right, Lynn. Any last comments before we sign off this thing?
No, I think we like touched on like a very diverse set of topics.
I think we did what we needed to do. All right. Questions, comments, concerns. Y'all already know what to do. Leave them down in the description box down below. Lynn, thank you so much again for coming through.
Thanks for having me.
We gotta do another one, all right?
Don't forget to subscribe.
Don't forget, like button. I got a new Patreon that I just created. Go and check that out.
Go check out the Patreon.
Hit the alert button, like, all of that stuff. Do it all right? Until next time, YouTube. Peace!